Dear students, let's continue chapter 3, Chemical Messages for Homeostasis. So, in this chapter, we already discussed about various glands including pancreas, then we discussed about thyroid gland, and then we discussed about adrenal gland, and also we discussed about pineal gland. So, today we shall discuss about pituitary gland. This is a very important gland. So, pituitary gland produces some hormones that helps in the growth of our body. Pituitary gland produces the hormones that helps in growth of our body, or it produces growth hormones. Then what about the structure of pituitary gland? So here you can see the structure of pituitary gland. It consists of two lobes, an anterior lobe and a posterior lobe. Then about the position of pituitary gland, or where is the location of pituitary gland? This pituitary gland is located just below the hypothalamus. So we already discussed about hypothalamus in the first chapter while learning about the parts of brain. I hope you are remembering about hypothalamus. So this pituitary gland is located just below the hypothalamus. So now we understood that the pituitary gland secretes growth hormone. Then what is the name of that hormone? Yes, its name is somatotrophin. So pituitary gland secretes the growth hormone which is termed as somatotrophin. So this somatotrophin hormone promotes the growth of our body during our growth phase. So which is our growth phase? We already know that human beings grow only up to the age of 18 or maximum only up to the age of 20. So this period is termed as our growth phase. So this somatotrophin or somatotrophin hormone promotes the growth of our body during this growth phase. And if the excess production of somatotrophin takes place, what happens is it leads to a condition called gigantism. So look at this picture. Here you can see a person affected with gigantism. So how this happens? If the somatotrophin is produced in an excess quantity, it leads to gigantism. And what is the opposite condition? If the somatotrophin is produced in a very less quantity during our growth phase, what happens is it leads to a condition called dwarfism. So in this picture you can see a person affected with dwarfism. How it happens? It happens when the somatotrophin is produced in a very less quantity during our growth phase. Then here you can see one another name, acromegaly. So how this condition happens? If the I already told you that the somatotrophin production is during our growth phase, or somatotrophin hormone promotes the growth only during growth phase. But if the somatotrophin is produced after our growth phase or after the age of 20, if somatotrophin is producing, what happens is it leads to a condition called acromegaly. So what is acromegaly? Acromegaly is a condition of growth of bones in our face, jaws and our fingers. So here you can see a person affected with acromegaly. So those people will be having an excess growth of bones on their face, on their jaws and on their fingers. In the beginning of this chapter, I told you that the pituitary gland is a very important gland. So what may be the reason for that, or what is the significance of pituitary gland? We studied that pituitary gland, the structure of pituitary gland, it consists of two lobes, an anterior lobe and a posterior lobe. So this anterior lobe of the pituitary gland produces some hormones that regulates the activities of other glands in the endocrine system. So which are the other glands in the endocrine system? We already studied that thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pineal gland, all these are the other glands in the endocrine system. So the hormones secreted from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland controls the activities of the other glands in the endocrine system. So which are the hormones produced by the anterior lobe of pituitary gland? Let us find out. So here is the list of hormones produced by or produced from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. So the first one is TSH, which means thyroid stimulating hormone. So from the name itself we understood that it regulates the activity of thyroid gland. Thyroid stimulating hormone, which regulates the activity of thyroid gland. Then the second one is ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. From the name itself we can understand that it regulates the activity of adrenal cortex. Adrenocorticotropic hormone. It regulates the activity of adrenal cortex. Then the next one is GTH. GTH means gonadotropic hormone. From the name itself we can understand that it regulates the activity of testes in male and ovaries in female, which is related, gonadotropic. The name itself is related with the reproductive parts of human beings. Then the next one is GH and STH. GH means growth hormones and STH means somatotropic hormone. GH is growth hormone and STH is somatotropic hormone. So these two hormones regulates the growth in our body. Then the last one is prolactin. So from the name itself, lactin, from the name itself we can understand that it helps in production of milk. So these are the hormones secreted from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. So all these hormones are secreted or produced from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. Then what about the posterior lobe of pituitary gland, or which are the hormones produced from the posterior lobe of pituitary gland? Let us find out. Here you can see the posterior lobe of pituitary gland secretes two hormones, which are the oxytocin and vasopressin. So what is the function of this oxytocin and vasopressin? Oxytocin helps in childbirth by regulating or by stimulating the action of smooth muscles in the uterine wall. We know that by the action of or by the contraction of smooth muscles in the uterine wall, it helps in childbirth, or the baby can come out from the uterus easily when this smooth muscles contracts. So oxytocin helps in stimulating the contraction of smooth muscles in the uterine wall and helps in childbirth. Then what about vasopressin? Vasopressin helps in reabsorption of water from kidney. So reabsorption of water helps in maintaining the water balance in our body. So both the function of oxytocin and vasopressin is very important in the life of a human being. Now we shall discuss about the maintenance of level of water in blood. So we shall learn this very easily by taking two seasons. So let us take winter season and summer season. And we know that during winter season we are not losing water from our body in the form of sweat and all. So the quantity or the amount of water in our body will be higher, and as a result the production of vasopressin decreases. And when the production of vasopressin decreases, we know that the reabsorption of water from kidney also decreases. And if the reabsorption of water from kidney is less or it decreases, what happens? We know that the quantity of urine will be higher, or it raises the quantity of urine. So this is the reason why we are having more quantity of urine during winter season. And what about summer season? During summer season, due to the extreme hot of sun, we know that we are losing water from our body in the form of sweat. So as a result, the quantity of water in our body will be lesser. It is because we are losing water in the form of sweat. So if the water content in our body is less, the production of vasopressin increases. Production of vasopressin increases for reabsorbing water from kidney. So when reabsorption of water from kidney takes place, what happens? It reduces the quantity of urine. So this is the reason why we are having less quantity of urine during which season? During summer season. And if the amount of water in our blood is normal, it maintains the level in a normal range itself. And if the production of vasopressin decreases than a standard level, it leads to a condition called diabetes insipidus. So we know that if the production of vasopressin decreases, the reabsorption of water from kidney also decreases, and as a result the quantity of urine increases. So the patients who are suffering from diabetes insipidus will be having a problem of frequent urination, and also they will be having increased thirst. All these are the symptoms of diabetes insipidus. Now we shall discuss about sex hormones. So in male, the testis produces the hormone testosterone. So which is the hormone produced in male, or which is the sex hormone produced in male? It is testosterone. The testis produces testosterone, and then what is the function of this testosterone hormone? It helps in that secondary sexual activities. For example, helps in change in voice, helps in growth of hairs, then helps in the development of sex organs, and helps in production of sperm, etc. So in male, testis produces the sex hormone testosterone, and it helps in the secondary sexual activities. Then in female, the ovary produces the hormones estrogen and progesterone. So two hormones are produced, two sex hormones are produced in female, which are the estrogen and progesterone. Then what is the function of estrogen? We know that the secondary sexual activities in females include ovulation, menstruation, etc. So estrogen helps in ovulation, menstruation, etc. Then what about progesterone? Progesterone also helps in ovulation, menstruation, and mainly it helps in the attachment of embryo in the wall of uterus. So what is embryo? We know that it is the most simplest form of a baby, and it helps in the progesterone hormone helps in attachment of embryo in the wall of uterus. Now we shall discuss about the prime controller. So the prime controller is the hypothalamus. We already know that hypothalamus is a part of brain, and it is also the prime controller of endocrine system. Prime controller means the hypothalamus controls all the activities of the endocrine glands. So this hypothalamus consists of two types of hormones. One is releasing hormones and another one is inhibiting hormones. So this releasing hormones stimulates the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. So there is a connection between the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. So the releasing hormone of hypothalamus stimulates the anterior lobe of pituitary gland, so that the anterior lobe secretes the hormones which we already discussed before. Which are they? Yes, we know that gonadotropin hormone, then ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and also thyroid stimulating hormone, which is known as TSH. So the hypothalamus secretes releasing hormone that stimulates the production of hormones which is produced from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. And there is just opposite type of hormone, that is inhibiting hormone, which inhibits the production of hormones from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. So now we understood that the hypothalamus have the ability to control or have the ability to stimulate the production of hormones from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland, and it also have the ability to inhibit the production of hormones from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. So children, we discussed all the details about the hormones in human beings. So this human beings, not only the human beings but other animals also have hormones. But the hormones in other animals is termed as pheromones. The hormones in other animals is termed as pheromones. So what is the function of pheromones in other animals? Pheromones helps in attracting the mates, and also it helps for communicating about the availability of food in a particular place. They communicate each other with the help of pheromones, and also they can identify the danger with the help of pheromones, and also they can travel in a same path. For example, you can see ant is moving in a same path. All the ants are moving in a same path. It is also with the help of pheromones. So these are the functions of pheromones in animals. Now we shall see some examples of pheromones. Musk oil is the example of a pheromone which is seen in musk deer. Then civetone is a pheromone which is seen in civet cat. Then bombicol is another example of a pheromone which is seen in female silk moth.
Now we shall discuss about hormones in plants. Not only animals, plants also have hormones. Hormones in plants include gibberellin, auxin, cytokinin, abscisic acid, ethylene. Each of these hormones have different functions. Hormones in plants are also produced artificially, which helps in the progress in agriculture sector. For example, the artificially produced auxins, which helps to prevent the dropping of premature fruits. Another example is artificially produced gibberellins, helps to increase the size in grapes and apple, and also it helps in preventing the ripening of fruits, which is helpful in marketing. The artificially produced ethylene is used for the flowering of pineapple and also for ripening of tomato, lemon, orange, etc. And it is also used in rubber trees to increase the production of latex. And the artificially produced abscisic acid is used for harvesting the fruits at the same time.
So children, at the end of this chapter, I hope all of you understood that the hormones plays a major role in controlling many life activities in our body, and also this endocrine system along with the nervous system helps in maintaining or sustaining homeostasis in animals.